Yes, thank you, Madam President. Madam Commission President, you already touched upon the fact that the war in Ukraine has demonstrated how dependent Russia is on fossil fuel imports from Russia. It was to the question of Philip Lamberts. At the same time, we're in a situation that inflation is reaching levels not seen for decades. I think it's 11-point-something% in my own member states. And our families and SMEs are already feeling the consequences of these incredibly high energy prices. How will the Commission ensure in this economic environment that we couldn't have foreseen when Fit for 55 was put on the table, that we will deliver on Fit for 55 with the objectives that we have for 2030, 2050? Will that be business as usual as foreseen at the time of publication, or are adaptations maybe needed? Thank you.
Rightly so, you were mentioning the high energy prices as really pressing families and businesses. What is the high energy price and high electricity price all about? As you know, rightly so, I think 20 years ago, when we designed the common energy and electricity market, it was decided that, first of all, the renewables, at that time a small share, were pushed into the electricity market, and then the different other kinds of energy are following. And at the very end comes in the most expensive energy source. But this most expensive energy source that comes into the market then is defining the price. This was well designed for a time where there were little renewables and lots of gas. Today it's different. If you look at the figures, they are very different in different member states, but overall, there's an enormous push forward for the renewables, and they are cost efficient. I mean, once in place, the costs are tiny. Then you have topics like the nuclear that is coming in, then you have other energy sources, and in the very end, gas, not a big share anymore, is coming in and dominating the price. So if there's anything we have to do to relieve the families and the business sector, is we have to work on the gas price. And there are two options. We have given recommendation for short-term measures, a toolbox member states are using. But in the mid and long term, the one topic is get rid of fossil fuels. This is also get rid of gas. We've discussed that. The other topic is look at the composition of the energy market. Is it really still appropriate that it is dominated by the gas price with all the consequences, or is it time to think of a new future model that is fit for purpose also with the new reality that we are all investing in and moving towards as much renewables as possible. And having said that, we'll deliver on that actually mid-May with a detailed plan, so-called Repower EU on that. Having said that, this is implicitly, of course, also advocating that Fit for 55, with the goal to honor the European Green Deal and the climate law that we have concluded all together, is absolutely the right way to go. Of course, now it's in the hands of the Parliament and of the Council also to find the right balance. But the general direction must be get rid of gas, get rid of fossil fuels, and go into all the topics that you are dealing with in Fit for 55.
Esther, you want to come back?
Very quickly, thank you for that reply. And of course, that will bear fruit in the medium to long term. But at the same time, I have vulnerable households in the Netherlands, but also in Germany, also in Romania, in all our member states, where families are putting the heating, even though it's freezing outside, on 16 because they can't afford anymore. And you promised change that would leave nobody behind. And had you asked me at the time, I would have said that Fit for 55 is challenging, in terms of legislation, in terms of technical issues and socially. I would at this moment say the biggest challenge is the social challenge. And how can we together deliver on that promise of leaving nobody behind? We have the Social Climate Fund. Is it enough?
So in the very, very short term, we've presented measures to the member states really to leave nobody behind. That is, for example, that you work on the retail price, that you tax the windfall profits that are without any question there. Member states do that. and relieve thus vulnerable households or small businesses. It's happening in the member states themselves. But you're right, in the midterm, this transition from fossil fuels into renewables has to be accompanied by a social climate fund. We have made proposals how to get there, how to fund it, and the principle is very simple. There are incomes that, of course, can afford to move easily into the new, clean way to use energy. But there are households, it's impossible for them to do that. And these households need the support of all of us, and this is embedded in the Social Climate Fund.
Thank you very much.